Hello Valorant fans, welcome to the Valorant Report here on Checkmate Gaming. I'm Hold Shift, and today we're talking about the brand new patch notes that were just released for 0.50 here in the beta. A lot of things to go over, so we'll just cut the pleasantries and dig right into it, starting with what is going on with the weapons. Now, a lot of people have been complaining, myself included, when it comes down to the fact that you're watching someone who looks to be full sprinting and gets that little one tap on you. While they're in full motion, you're sitting there saying, what the heck? Why? Why is that a thing? Well, here's the deal. You will no longer be getting walking accuracy while transitioning from a run to stop, which is what you're kind of seeing. With the smoothing that's involved and the latency compensation that's involved, it looks like that person is full out running, even though they may have been still in a transition where they maybe hit shift to walk, or they're still in the process of slowing down. So, that said, the dead zone accuracy speed threshold will increase from 25% to 30%. That essentially means that you're not going to be able to gain walking accuracy while transitioning between that run to a dead stop. That said, the moment of which you hit to a dead stop, it'll be easier to get that accurate shot a little bit quicker. So it's a little bit of a plug and play, a little bit of a tug of war here. Not being able to get the accuracy while you're still necessarily in motion as much, but as soon as you hit that dead stop, you will become that much more accurate. So what does that mean overall for all of our weapons? What's going to change? Are your favorite weapons going to be changed up a little bit? Most likely, yes. We'll start with rifles first. Recovery time on all rifles is going to be updated. This is going to make tapping and bursting feel a lot easier to do and more efficient, especially at long ranges. That said, let's take a look at what this does for the base walk accuracy. Like we mentioned, that's going to change for every single weapon. Walk spraying with rifles before was a little bit more efficient than I think anyone would have liked to have seen. So with that, they're pulling back the accuracy, updating a little bit as far as where that weapon spread's going to go to, making, again, tap and burst firing that much more efficient, especially for the Phantom and the Vandal. Again, the higher the tap efficiency number, the lower the rate of inaccuracy buildup will kind of accrue. So keeping that in mind, let's take a look at our Vandal first. Horizontal recoil is going to be reduced by 15% while crouched and stationary. So crouch walking, you won't be able to get that same kind of benefit. This was intended to be the case before. Now it's going to kind of mirror more of the other rifles overall. The gun recovery time will go from 0.4 seconds to 0.375 seconds. Essentially what that means is how long you go from tap to stop to tap. It's going to have a slight increase as far as how fast you can tap that for it to recover. That will also be mimicked in the tap efficiency numbers, which previously were 4. That goes to 6. I don't know exactly what that means as far as quantifying it. Just know that the tap efficiency has gone higher, which means that the inaccuracy will go lower. The Phantom, same kind of thing here. Gun recovery time, 0.55 seconds to 0.35 seconds. Again, faster rate of fire, faster taps will be more accurate. The tap efficiency goes from 3 to 4. The Bulldog and the Guardian will not be getting any kind of tap adjustments, but there are a couple of overall recovery things. Specifically with the automatic fire, there is an issue where the gun recovery time was higher than intended for both of these weapons. That is going to be changed a touch here as the gun recovery time goes from 0.55 to 0.35. Again, the burst is what the burst is, but that automatic fire where you're just going with a couple of bursts and a couple of taps, that number has been reduced for the recovery time for both the Bulldog and similarly so to the Guardian. Take a look just down the line here. Recovery time for the Vandal, 0.375. Everything else, 0.35 seconds. That means that if you're going for recovery time, those taps, these bursts, as far as when does it recenter perfectly, the Phantom, the Bulldog, and the Guardian will all feel exactly the same. There will be a slight increased time for the Vandal. A lot of jargon. Hope you're still with me out there. Let's go to machine guns, as these have been, again, mostly the meme weapons so far in Valorant. You've got so much economy. What are you going to do with it? Everybody buy Odins. Let's have some fun. But there are going to be some changes to both of the LMGs to give you more of an incentive to use these. Most specifically, you're going to be taking a look at just the recoil patterns that are there. The amount of intensity will definitely be changed after the first 8 bullets for each of these weapons. Also included in that is the Ares firing air. Again, that's the value curve, is where that spread goes. And maybe even more importantly, for the Ares, it goes from 1,700 credits down to 1,600 credits. Same as the Spectre. Think about it. But now we go away from the weapons, and we're going to talk mostly about the agents, which I'm sure most of you guys are here for. Get my take as far as what agents are going to be changed? Do they kind of adjust in the tier rankings depending on some of these changes? Well, let's start with everyone's favorite and only support healer in the game, Sage. First of all, the barrier orb, which everyone knows is so good at zoning off a spike site, especially as you're trying to go for a couple of cheeky early plants in the round. The barrier orb has been finding a lot of value, not just stalling a push, but of course zoning out spike sites like I mentioned. The increase of credits will go from 300 to 400, so it's going to be a little bit more costly. That's going to make some decisions come into play, especially in early pistol rounds of can you even afford to go for your ghost, your slow, and your barrier orb. You're going to have to make some choices. Outside of that, the slowing orb has also been changed a bit. The efficacy of her slow orb is going to be backed up a touch. The duration has been decreased from 9 seconds of total duration to 7 seconds of total duration. Also in the mix, the slowing amount has also been decreased from a 65% slow to just a 50% slow. This is going to feel very different. Of course, the most recent change before this was the fact that you can now walk through with shift walking through that slow orb without making sound. Now you're gonna be able to move through that a little bit faster. So again, just kind of reducing her ability to completely stall out pushes coming through. But in my mind, does this really change the fact that, oh, now we're not going to use Sage? No, you're still going to use Sage. She still has the potential of a resurrection. She still has a heal. And again, the wall and the slow orb is still very good. It's just not going to be as elite as it was before. It'll still be very good and very necessary, though, in my mind. She'll still be a must pick. Going to Cypher, this is a big change for Cypher. A lot of people have been, especially in the middle ranges, if you're stuck between somewhere in bronze and maybe plat, you're probably still hearing, Cypher's set up, we can't hit this spike site. That's no longer going to be as much of a concern because the biggest move that we've seen for Cypher so far is the Cyber Cage is no longer going to slow enemies that move through it. That's massive. I believe there will still be a slight sound cue when a player enters into it, but it'll serve just as a smoke essentially. Well, a hollow smoke if we're being completely candid. So, Cyber Cage combined with trap wires, that's going to be the necessary thing if you do play Cypher. Otherwise, you're going to have to hopefully use your ears and hope that Cyber Cage sound trigger still stays as poignant as it has. Beyond that, spy cams are also going to get a cooldown when they're destroyed from 30 seconds to 45 seconds. That's a massive change. And honestly, one of the more massive changes that we've seen, I think, when it comes to agent balance overall. Sova darts are going to find so much more value now because you're going to find that little ping of information. For Cypher cams, I'm not going to lie to you. All of you Cypher mans out there are going to start getting really cheeky about where you place your cams because not only are a lot of the exploit spots being patched, but if you're using them for this early intel and you queue it up, someone deletes it, you don't have that information for another 45 seconds. Cypher is going to be taking a massive hit here with the no longer slowing of the Cyber Cage and the spy cam not being as quote-unquote spammable anymore. This is going to raise Sova up very high, I think, when it comes to his efficiency in gaining intel compared to Cypher, who was so trusted with so much lockdown. Now he doesn't really have the intel as much or the lockdown as much. So Cypher's going to take a hit and Sova's going to find a bump in my mind when it comes to that general tier list, whether you're looking at this casually or competitively. As someone who does like to play Cypher, I'm going to have to go into the practice range and start figuring out some Sova dart spots because I think Sova's going to probably take over a lot of what Cypher has brought to the table in the past. Why he found his strength previously might not be there as much. Going over to Omen, again, he has not been finding a lot of value competitively simply because Brimstone smokes are just better than the dark cover. That's going to be changed a little bit here. Dark cover smoke duration being increased from 12 seconds to 15 seconds is massive, plus the projectile speed is going to be increased, but with all of that, the cooldown will also be increased by 5 seconds. End of story. Here's the deal. Dark cover's still free. It's still on a cooldown. You still get 2 charges. And now it's going to last longer and move faster? Yeah, Omen's stock is definitely going to rise a bit. That said, are you going to see a Brim hit? Maybe not as much. Again, the Sky Smoke is, you know exactly where you're placing them. You can section off sites very, very easily by how you hit the 3 smokes at the same time if you do that. Or, again, you can stall out a lot of pushes because that's not a hollow smoke. The dark cover is still hollow. You can see inside of that smoke. You cannot do that with the Sky Smoke. So I still think Brim is going to find itself a lot of value. But all of you Omen mains, you're going to smile at that one because your team efficiency has just gone extra high. Taking a look at Viper, again, we don't see her played much at the highest level. She has a couple of valuable utility things in her kit, but generally, She does not find the same kind of value as a lot of the other characters, but Snakebite, it's going to get its radius increased from 350 to 450. That's mostly going to be used to match other area denial abilities like Hot Hands, Incendiary, Slow Orb, things like that. Do I think Viper's going to find much raise in stock here, though? I don't think I can really sit there and actually say that. Again, my biggest problem with Viper is her decay instantly coming back. If the decay status effect lasts a little bit longer before you start to regen, I think she'd be more valuable. But right now, there's no real punish to moving through a poison cloud or a poison or a toxic screen or something like that. It just feels like it's too easy to just walk through her abilities without getting punished. Beyond that, though, there will be a couple other updates to prices across the some agents. Raised Blast Pack increased from 100 credits per each of the Blast Packs to 200 credits. I still think that you're going to be buying both of them most likely round after round. Curveball for Phoenix is also going to be increased from 100 each to 200 each. Again, I think that Phoenix's flash is still very strong, definitely right in line with what Breach has been able to do, but this credit change is going to make that a little bit, again, it's going to take a little bit of a hit to Phoenix. If you're playing him as an initiator, now you might not have both flashes all the time, depending on what your credit situation looks like. Brimstone's Incendiary also being increased from 200 to 300. That's pretty big, considering the fact that you're pretty much already not buying the Stim Beacon, and now you've got to make a decision of, do I take that Incendiary instead of a third smoke sometimes, or do I give up the Incendiary in favor of the smokes? That decision's now going to be in play for all of you Brim mains out there. And then beyond that, Jet getting a little bit of a help here, as the updraft will be reduced from 200 credits to 100 credits each. That mobility is by far the strongest part of her kit. That's going to be helped a little bit here, maybe making her a little bit more useful. But beyond that, and one more tiny point here, not really listed on the graphics, the total credit cap is going to be reduced from 12,000 just to 9,000. That's massive. The snowball potential is going to be reduced heavily. Yes, at 9,000, you can still obviously buy anything in the game that you want, not just for one round, but probably also the following. But the ability to string together 3 straight gun rounds off of a maxed out credit is going to be a little bit more reduced because of this credit cap reduction. Beyond that, though, one more small little change for Brimstone, Phoenix, and Viper Mage. Again, you're probably getting a little bit frustrated. You think you put down that great Incendiary, that great Hot Hands, and that great Snakebite, and all of a sudden people are just pushing through it because they're bunny hopping through. That's going to be changed a touch here. The height requirement to jump out of all damaging area denial abilities has gone from 80 to 120. So you're not going to be able to bunny hop out of that nearly as easily. And beyond that, the tick speed is going to increase for the damage that's going to be applied by all of those abilities, but the total DPS will remain unchanged. So I don't know how it worked before, whether it was 1 second was a tick for damage, but now it's going to take that and maybe double it. Who knows? I don't know the exact values, but the damage tick will increase, but the damage per second will still be the same. So you're going to be chipped more often, but for less damage. I hope that makes sense for you guys. The only other thing to really talk about here, there were a couple of updates all across the board when it comes to a couple of exploits, as well as a couple of other kind of manipulative spots on all of the maps. But for Split specifically, everyone who's been complaining about Split, saying there's too difficult on the attacking side, is going to see a major change to the map off of the opening position, because all of the barrier locations are going to change slightly. Defensively, the barriers are going to be pulled back closer to spawn. Offensively, the barriers are going to be pushed forward a touch. So all of those contest spots through B main, A lobby, mid map, all of those angles are going to look very, very different off the rip here, simply due to the fact that defenses will not be able to spam as much for free, and attackers will be able to essentially meet them at a more level playing field. That's going to be some interesting changes. This is the first time we've seen barrier changes in the game thus far, and I'm interested to see exactly how things go. Beyond that, a bunch of heads-up display and user interface updates, a bunch of quality of life updates. All of those can be found in a list in the patch notes, which I'll keep in the description below for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Coming up soon, we'll be doing the pros and cons of every single character competitively post this change here on the Checkmate Gaming channel. So make sure you subscribe on your way out, and if you liked the video, make sure you like the video. But till the next one, hope you guys all keep holding it down out there. So long.